A demonstration of going to vote. A man in a wheelchair enters an accessible polling station to go vote. The man approaches a table where a polling clerk and a deputy returning officer are seated. The polling clerk says hello to the man. The man points to his ear to indicate he is deaf. The polling clerk takes a piece of paper and writes the words, "Name and address, please," on it and passes it to the man. The man reads the paper and then shows the polling clerk a piece of ID so she will know his name and address. The polling clerk checks the voters list to find the man's name. She finds it and then crosses his name off the list. She also records his name and address in a logbook. She hands the man's ID back and then motions toward the deputy returning officer, who is seated to her left, to indicate he will now give the man his ballot. The deputy returning officer initials the back of the ballot. He then removes the ballot from the book and folds the ballot twice. He hands the ballot to the man in the wheelchair. The deputy returning officer motions toward the table to the left where there is a cardboard voting screen. This is where the man can mark his ballot. The man wheels to the table and then places his ballot on the table behind the screen. He unfolds the ballot and marks an X by the name of the person he wants to vote for. He refolds his ballot to keep his vote private. He then returns to the first table with his ballot. He hands the ballot back to the deputy returning officer, who then removes a tab from the ballot, and the ballot is handed back to the man in the wheelchair. He is directed to place his ballot in the slot in a wooden ballot box which sits on the corner of the table. The man wheels away as the polling clerk marks her logbook to show the man has voted. A blind man using a white cane enters an accessible polling station to go vote. The man approaches a table where the polling clerk and a deputy returning officer are seated. The polling clerk says hello to the man and asks for his name and address. The man tells her his name and address. The polling clerk explains she is finding his name on the voters list and that she is crossing it off. The polling clerk also tells him that she is recording his name and address in her logbook. She then tells the man that the deputy returning officer, who is seated to her left, will help him next. The deputy returning officer says hello and explains to the man that he is placing his initials on the back of the ballot and that he is then removing the ballot from the ballot book. He explains that he is folding the ballot and unfolding it again to place the ballot into a template, which will help the man mark the ballot. The deputy returning officer reads the names of the candidates to the man as he places the ballot into the template. He then holds the template so the man can feel it. He explains that the template has holes down the side which match the space on the ballot by the candidate's name. The man runs his finger over the template to feel the holes. The officer then asks if the man would like help to move to the voting screen to vote. He replies yes. The deputy returning officer, while holding the ballot in the template, stands up and moves around the table to guide the man. The man takes the deputy returning officer's elbow and walks with him to the screen. Once he's behind the screen, he places his white cane on the table. The deputy returning officer hands him a pencil and places the template with the ballot behind the screen in front of the man. The man feels the template to find the name of the candidate which he wishes to vote for. Then he marks an X in the space by the candidate's name. Once he marks his X, the deputy returning officer helps him to return to the first table. The deputy returning officer returns to his chair behind the table. The man hands the template with the folded ballot inside to the deputy returning officer, who removes the ballot from the template. The deputy returning officer then removes a tab from the ballot and hands it back to the man. The man is directed to place the ballot in the slot in the wooden ballot box which sits to his right on the corner of the table. The man then walks away as the polling clerk marks her logbook to show the man has voted.